Doulagivers Institute and the Good Death Book Tour are coming to Boise. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ask a Death Doula, the Good Death podcast. I am so excited to share this news with you. Doulagivers Institute is expanding. You know, we are an international Doulagivers Institute that serves people all over the world. Why? Because end of life affects people everywhere in the world. And every single person and family deserves to have the support, the education, and the compassion that they need to have that end of life go well. And so we are committed to that, but we are so excited because we are announcing Doulagivers Institute now, Pacific Northwest and Boise, Idaho. Boots on the ground, a chapter division there that you can get trained there, you can have education there. It's expanding and it's happening. And in celebration of that, we're doing the Good Death Book Tour in Boise in October. So I'm going to share with you all of the events and the dates that we are going to be there, how you can participate. But before I dive into that, I want to revisit the why. Why is this so important? For those of you who've been following me, you know that I have been doing this for a long time, over 20 years. I am a former hospice and oncology nurse. I am considered a pioneer, greatly so, and it's such an honor. A pioneer in the death doula movement. How exciting, right? That death doula movement. And every day, and it pains me to say this to you, every day I get calls, I get emails, messages from families who are getting someone they love with a terminal diagnosis and completely falling apart, not knowing what to do in that shock phase. And if you've, been in my world, there's a statement that I make, and I stand by this, is that 80 to 90%, in my experience, which I've been honored and blessed to be directly with over 1,000 people at the end of life, that the end of life went better 80 to 90% because of planning ahead. I'll say that statement, planning ahead, no matter what the disease process is. But today, I want to actually make another statement that it's not even planning ahead, because that might be too much of a lift to you. Thinking about doing my advanced directive, thinking about what I'd want, making my arrangements for my life celebration. You don't even need to go that far. You need to live with the awareness that one day this journey, as you know it today, will not be the same. That's the difference, because right now I'm working with, and again, I work with this every day. I'm working with a family, got a crisis call, and they're crisis calls, by the way. Most people are put on end-of-life hospice services too late. A crisis call from a family who the gentleman had multiple different cancers for a few years and now has brain cancer, terminal brain cancer, just found that out. So usually, again, different types of cancers can metastasize to the brain. So these were cancers that were already in his body and it traveled to his brain. And brain cancer is one of the more difficult end of lives to support because of obviously all the intricacies in the brain and having to have really, really, really tight symptom management and good protocol around that. But this family, and understandably so, has fallen apart because it's when you're given that information that the life as you know it has a time limit left and it's coming to an end, everyone goes into shock, right? And does anything else matter? And so what I'm trying to say to you is that trying to support this family in understanding the three phases of end of life, the three question technique, the what to expect with brain cancer, the symptoms they can expect to see, and the interventions that they need to know to use to help make the highest quality every single day, not just for this man, but for his wife and children as well, their community that's very tight. But also because of the intensity of what they're feeling, because of the amount of people that this gentleman has in his life, to really consider again, slowing everything down, to think about what they want for the vigil period and what are they doing with an after death plan. Not rushing that time is so incredibly important for everyone. And inviting them to understand the benefits of having a home wake, a home funeral, a 3-day event for ritual, to me, organically speaks to this gentleman and his family. And so I'm not able at this moment to be able to guide them in those processes because of the shock, because of the shock and overwhelm. And my fear, like many times before this, is that they're going to miss this time. They're going to miss it. The last conversations, the what's important at the time of death, the bringing in some ritual to it, because they're dealing with the understanding that this person is going to have their end of life, even though we knew this. Not just for this gentleman, we know this for everyone, that a guaranteed part of the journey is that one day, as I know it today, will come to an end. Do you know what that does for me? It's one of the greatest gifts on how to live. Because each day I ask myself, am I doing what I want to do today to make sure that it is in alignment, has meaning, is of service, making a difference, is being truthful and honest to me of what brings me joy and what's important, and how am I nourishing this body, and how am I appreciating the presence and the gift? How am I listening to my heart? I ask that to myself every day, knowing that tomorrow is not guaranteed and I know it will come to an end. So everything I do has a different level of awareness and gratitude that has served me beyond anything else that I could ever have said was a life teacher about how to live. The minute I started working as a hospice nurse with people who are dying, my life changed. No longer was it, I have to go to the grocery store. It's that I get to go to the grocery store. It's not that I have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. Everything elevated in its level of appreciation and gratitude, which is how you change your life, because you just leveled up your frequency. And I make sure that everything that I'm doing in the day is what is important to the big vision of this life's journey, the meaning of it, having gratitude and presence and showing up in love with no judgment and creating, co-creating, doing something that co-creates the gift that I came in with, that I am to share, that I have aligned with, working towards that every single day. This podcast is part of that. Sharing information with you that can plant seeds and hopefully give you information and tools to not only change your end of life for you and your family, but for your life today. That makes me feel amazing and grateful and like I'm doing something, which we know we are. And so I started working with those at the end of life, and every gifted opportunity that came my way, even though timing, because there's no such thing as right timing, right? Timing seemed not right. Or going to be an oncology nurse seemed full-time, seemed crazy at the time to go back into that arena. Why would I go back to that arena at this point in my juncture, working at 15-hour days and not knowing about oncology? And it's those moments of opportunity where the universe is putting something in front of you that you need to say yes, because that's where the magic happens. That's where the expansion happens. The expansion of you and your energy and your gift. And so here's what I want to say to you. I work really hard at what I do, and I have for a very long time. And when I get calls like this from people who are having a end of life, and I know that no matter what I do, it will not go as well as it could have because they didn't realize that a death was going to be part of their journey at some point. It fuels me, it inspires me, and it gives me really jet fuel to work as hard as I can for you and for the message that death is a part of life, a guaranteed, natural, sacred part of life. And that knowing that if my heart is beating and my breath, I'm taking, these beautiful breaths that I'm given to, just gifted to be able to have this human experience with, then a part of that, a guaranteed part of that is that one day life as I know it in this body will come to an end. If I live with that lens on, with that perspective, boy, does it make me live. And boy, does it make me think about what is quality of life to me? And when would I not want my life extended if there's no quality? Thinking about that, thinking about what I want my family to know, thinking about how I want to be remembered, so that when that day comes, no matter when it comes, and I don't know that, right? I don't know that. But I do know that I've worked with people of all ages that bopping along in their life at 46 and within a couple of days had an end of life, bopping along at young ages, an end of life showed up for them. So it's not just a given that we will get to live into the 70s, 80s, 90s, or all they're saying now. Don't assume that for yourself, because we know that's not the truth. But I know that that is the greatest gift, because every day I'm not missing it. Every day I am aware of the gift of this day. So my philosophy and thinking is that one day the sacred part of the transition, by the way, have we attached an entirely wrong meaning to this thing called death? Because right now it's something to be feared. It's something to run in the opposite direction of, something to fight, something to do everything you possibly can to push it away as long as you can. And I'll tell you something, it's that gray area that is so dangerous. Because if it's a battle, if it's a fight, 100% guaranteed we're going to lose that fight at some point. And it's where I see people scrape and do things and surgeries and trying this and medications and running in the opposite direction, when there was no way to reverse that process, caused them 10,000 times more pain and suffering, and then they died anyway. What sense does that make? But here's what I do want to share with you, is that for thousands of years in different cultures and different religions, death was revered and looked at as a sacred rite of passage, a spiritual ascension. I often will say, think of it, it's your second birthday. Could it be looked at like your second birthday? The birthing of the baby, we say doula givers, the birthing of the baby, the labor can be scary, it can be painful. It is hard, not just for the mother, but for the baby. And then look what's on the other side of that. Same thing with end of life. That laboring out of this world can be painful, it can be scary. Not just for the person, but for the family as well, when they don't know what's going on. But look what's on the other side of that. The person graduated. From all of the people at the end of life that tell me what they see, where they're going, it is so incredibly beautiful. It is so incredibly full of love, full of healing, no pain, no suffering, nothing like that. Do we have our attachment to this experience called death all wrong at this moment? And I'm going to say absolutely. So could we immediately shift what's happening in our culture with simply shifting the way we think about death. We're never going to be ready to say goodbye to people in their physical form. We know that. But if we changed our perception of what that experience is, that it is a graduation, and how much happier can we be for people who are suffering in their physical body with chronic pain and different things, that they were able to graduate, that they are able to be now on that other higher plane, no pain, no suffering, pure love, with loved ones that have left prior. I mean, simply incredible. So for this man and his family, my heart goes out to them, because I know that this is not going to be the good death or go the way that it could have if we as a culture, if them as a family would have been thinking in terms of, yes, this day is going to come, not just for him, for all of us, but because also he's been dealing with cancers, that probability of it being closer in time proximity was a very realistic thing, which it sounds like it's complete shock to all of them. So I am going to invite you into this sacred space with me. And I am going to teach you everything I know that I have learned that has completely changed my life. But I'm also going to give you empowering tools on how to have the good death, on what you need to know. 100 years ago, the skill of caring for someone who is dying was handed down from a grandmother to a grandchild. It's all but lost today. So is the ritual. So is the understanding about death being a sacred rite of passage. It's time to bring that back. So I am so excited to share with you that we are coming to Pacific Northwest, to Boise, Idaho, to physically do the launch of that division and also the Good Death book tour. You guys, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to meet you in person. So I'm going to tell you about what we have going on, the dates, the events, how you can take part in them, and we hope you do. I want to meet you in person. There is nothing more magical than getting together in person. So here we have Doulagivers Institute, Boise and Pacific Northwest, that is launching in October. It's going to be, the director is Christine Souza, an amazing Doulagivers trainer. If you would like to learn more for your hospices, home health agencies, becoming a practitioner, getting education for your families, communities, this is your point person. And yes, in-person trainings and many different things in the community are going to be happening. Now, for myself, coming out and doing the Good Death book tour and this launch, the first event is going to be on October 15th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is going to be a level 1 training. So the Doulagivers level 1 training in person. You're also going to get a workbook with that. And a Good Death book signing. So we are going to combine the level 1 training and the Good Death book signing. Super excited about this. This is a book, the Good Death book, is like the what to expect when you're expecting for the opposite end of life. And every family should have this book. Not only should every family have this book, every medical practitioner should have this book, and every death doula should have this book. This is the manual. This is the book. So we are going to make it available as much as we can and have as many events. Now, I also want to remind those listeners who we have here from different parts of the beautiful world of our global community, is that this book is available in Spanish. It is available in the UK and all of Europe, and it is available everywhere. So we're going to put all those links. So the Good Death book, again, it's something that each and every one of us will go through. And so every caregiver, every medical practitioner, every death doula should have the Good Death book. We're going to do a level 1 training. So you're going to get a complete training on how to care for your loved one from time of diagnosis all the way through the 3 phases to setting a sacred space in its completion. And we're going to do a book signing that day. So that is going to be at the Meridian Senior Center, which is at 1920 North Records Way, Meridian, Idaho. I'm so excited about this. We have Ancora Hospice is a co-sponsor. So thank you, Ancora Hospice. You are amazing the way that you care for your community. And we also have Doulagivers of Boise in the Pacific Northwest. Christine Souza is another sponsor of that event. There are also going to be 15 local vendors at that event. So you are going to hear from many different health agencies, elder care attorneys, doctors, home health, all of these support networks, because this is how we come together as a community, right? Funeral homes, green burials. You're gonna have all of these wonderful vendors that are there to help you have the good death. And a good death, like I said, starts way back here with thinking about what I'd want. What is quality of life to me? What is the local hospice? What are their names? What are their services? Getting to know them. When do I call hospice? When is hospice appropriate? It's that quality of life benchmark. We'll talk all about that. It makes all the difference in the world. So that will be the event. And then we're going to have the book signing. And that book signing is sponsored by Rediscovered Books. We thank you so much for that, of the Good Death book. So that is on October 15th. Then we have the next event, which is on October 16th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is going to be a film screening of Being Mortal. So one of my favorite books, Being Mortal by Dr. Atul Gawande. Just an amazing book. It's, medicine and what matters in the end. And here's the thing that I want to say is that, and I'm so grateful to Dr. Atul Gawande for writing this book and being honest about what's happening inside the system, what's happening in the inside of the system with the limitations, we're treating death today like a medical experience, and we say to doctors, fix it. End of life cannot be fixed. It can be supported. We treat doctors like they failed if someone died, and this is a very dangerous space. He's very honest and open about the limitations. So he wrote a book called Being Mortal. Yes, we are all mortal, so we have an end of life that can go really well with the right support, medicine, and what matters in the end, and what matters for doctors to do in the end. This statement that doctors will sometimes say, if not many times, if not all of the time, say, when someone gets a terminal diagnosis, I'm sorry, there's no more I can do for you. I'm sorry, there's nothing left that I can do for you. It's so wrong. I will tell you right now, there is so much that we can do for you as medical practitioners. Symptom management, being there for you emotionally, being there for your families, giving you that guidance and support. He talks about this. So I often will say, this book by Dr. Atul Gawande, talking about the truth about what's happening in the medical world, and this book, the how-to, have a good death, right? So him knowing the limitations of medicine in the end and what role doctors can play, and then what we can do to bring death back into the hands of family, into the hands of community, with all of the information that we have in here for ritual, home wakes, grieving, symptom comfort tracker, support system scheduler, disease processes. It's all in this book. So the two, in my opinion, go together so beautifully, right? Really beautifully. So the second event is going to be October 16th, and we're going to show a film screening of Being Mortal. And this is partnered with PBS and with Osher. I am so incredibly grateful. I am so grateful to all of the people in Boise, Idaho that are coming together to create this shift and create difference in their community. Thank you, PBS. Thank you, Osher. Amazing. So this is going to be at 220 East Park Center Boulevard. I am going to put all of the links below so you can sign up and grab your tickets. By the way, all of these events are free, but space is limited, so you want to grab your tickets. We're going to also follow the screening of the movie with a panel discussion with myself, with Dr. Gallagher, who's a palliative doctor and medical director of Ancora. And we're going to also speak with Marissa Click, palliative care and oncology chaplain at St. Alphonsus Hospital. Alphonsus. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is open to the public. You guys, I'm so excited. I can't even really believe that all of this is happening, right? It's so great. So thank you, PBS. Thank you, Osher. Thank you for the panel. Thank you, Ancora. It's going to be an amazing event. Okay, so that's the second event that's happening in Boise. Let's go to the third event. October 18th. We are going to have an event at Barnes and Noble, and this is going to be at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be, I'm going to present compassionate caregiving, honoring humanity through end-of-life planning, an incredibly beautiful presentation that I've put together that will give you an overview of all the important things, the rainbow arch of what you need to know for the good death, the good life, all its completion. So I'm going to give you that presentation, and then we're going to follow with a book signing. And I want to give a shout out to Barnes and Noble. I mean, people have been so incredibly supportive of the Good Death book, and Barnes and Noble has done just a beautiful job as well as sharing the Good Death book on so many different levels and just doing different events with us, which has been, again, such a blessing because every family needs this book. So October 18th, I'm going to give a presentation, and then I'm going to do a book signing at the Barnes and Noble in Boise. I am going to, again, these are free events, but they do have capacity limits. So the tickets are free. I'm going to put all of the links to the tickets down below. Grab your tickets. If you know people in the area, invite them, let them know to be part of this community, this life-changing coming together. You know, people will often say, our world, what's happening in our world today? And we need a different president elected to make the change. And we need a different law to be passed before it can change. And those things are good, everyone, of course. But that's not how we really make the change. How we really make the change is how we choose to show up with one another every single day. We are so much more similar than different. Let's get on that page. Let's get on that connection, that awareness. And doesn't end of life teach us that? Because it doesn't care who you are, what labels you had, how much money you have, what political party you're a part of. None of that at the end. We are so much more similar than different. Let's bring back that awareness. How do we show up for each other? How do I show up today? Do I show up in anger? Do I show up pointing my fingers that you're wrong and I'm right? Or do I show up and say, I see you. We're all hurting. We're all a bit scared, right? How do we make this better? How do we come together? How do I lend a hand with what I know as Suzanne O'Brien, as the founder of Doulagivers, as the author of the Good Death book? How can I show up today to extend a hand to you and your family, to help you with tools, with awareness, with education, to help you navigate what is one of the most difficult parts of our life's journey? I don't care who you are. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how much money you have or don't have. I care about you and I care about your family. And I know that we have only one opportunity to have that end of life go well. We cannot go back and do it again. So I'm going to do everything that I can to help you and your family on that journey. I love you guys so very much. Step into this community with us. We love you. Everyone is invited here. Everyone is welcome here. And if you are in the Pacific Northwest, if you're in Boise, Idaho, please come out, say hello, let me give you a hug. Together, this is how we change the world. The links are below for all of the events, so get ready for an incredible, incredible time in Boise, Idaho, and also get in touch with Christine Souza, who is Doulagivers Institute Boise and Pacific Northwest, and get some training. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being part of this episode of Ask a Death Doula. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.